My name is Ryad Khodabocus. I'm the head of Luton Council of Faiths. So what I do on a daily basis is working with communities, engaging them on various projects that helps to bring people together. And bringing people together means also connecting with nature. So when we talk about the ecology, we talk about the ecology of humans as well, in terms of its diversity, as much as connecting with the diversity of nature. So in regard to the Chalk Hills, we've been running a project quite a while ago called the Faith Woodlands Communities. The idea was to get especially faith communities engaged into the woodlands and learning more about nature, and then coming back, so maybe go a little bit outside Luton, explore Bedfordshire a little bit, and then come back within their own area and see how they can engage and use their space, and see how they can even enhance those green spaces. So that's what we've been doing. And since then, there's been an evolution of that. Now we can see that a lot of our projects has been taken by the locals themselves, which we see as something empowering. Because if you look at, for example, post-COVID, we used to do peace gardens. So post-COVID, we have had massive peace garden across Luton. So with following the death of those who passed away, and then we've been planting one tree for each person. So all of that has seeped into the communities. Now we have projects around Luton in Bloom. We have guided walks that people go and visit those countrysides, etc. So it's been quite a lot that's been more in terms of empowering communities and taking those projects further. And we are very pleased with that. In terms of legacy, I would say that the Peace Garden, post-COVID, which has been quite a big project with 850 trees, I think, have been planted. So we would see that as a legacy that people have taken from the initial work that we've been doing, because we were asked to be part of it as a key partner to help them to nurture these projects. Some of the trees have been planted here in Hightown. So yeah, this is one, I would say, of those legacies that we've seen. So our partners are our faith communities mainly, but again, we work with everybody, so yeah. The Peace Garden, as I said, it started with the following when we got what we call the green light to start living normally after COVID, but also we lost about 850 people. I don't have the
specifically from the faith community that you lost 800.
No. That's the town. That's the wider town, and that's the reason we call it the Peace Garden, because the Peace Garden encompasses everybody. We're not calling it the Faith Garden, we're calling it the Peace Garden, and the fact that we call it a Peace Garden is to bring people together. When we talk about people, we don't discriminate faith or no faith. It's about bringing people. But obviously, as a council of faith, and Luton being 78% religious in terms of its demography, so it's quite a big population there. So it's about getting people together. That one of the ways of in our own grief and loss, we wanted to bring hope, and that hope was planting a tree for one life, or for a tree for a life. That's what was done at that time. So that's how the project was conceived, and then it went for the next 3 years to be able to plant all these 850 trees, which is now we're in the maintenance part of it. It's been maintenance as well throughout the 3 years, but that's carrying on. But it's more on what communities can do to be able to engage more into those projects. We didn't get much funding from, and what we wanted is people to have to own the project. So a lot of it was given, a lot of the funding came from locals who funded the project, and as much as a lot of faith communities paid quite a lot of money for the projects as well. So yeah, all of that came around to help the project. We did get, I think, some funding here and there, but a big chunk came from the local communities, the families themselves. Well, my name is Ryad, and Ryad means garden. So that's garden in Arabic. But how I always loved nature. Currently, I'm a naturopath. I've trained 5 years in naturopathic medicine. So my aim is always to get people out and engage into nature. We know it's about fresh air, clean water, exercise. These are the things that you would want to encourage people to do as a naturopath. So that's what that's what I do. But yeah, I've been in Luton at least for 18 years now. And since we started, these were the projects that always interested me. I was a scout leader. So when I came to Luton, actually, I joined the scout as well. So going outdoors and nature was part and parcel of who I was. So it's a form of identity. But yeah, since childhood, I used to with my mum, we used to look after the garden. I love roses. It's one of my favorite plant. I used to grow since childhood. Growing a garden was always part of what I did. So that always stayed with me, and I think my name has a huge influence of who I am, and that's why I think I feel like there's always a connection with the land. And I think you will find that in the Dallow area, a lot of people would not necessarily have a garden. We have one of the schools actually which doesn't have one of those. And I think parks becomes really special and the wildlife become really special. And I think we need to encourage people. And that's why we were doing these projects, to encourage people to, at that time it was about reclaim their park. That's how we call the project, because there was a lot of fear with drugs going on in parks, etc. So we wanted people to feel a bit safe, as we were saying that if you go and reclaim it, you will see less and less of this antisocial behavior because families are going. We hope that people will be more respectful when they are seeing families in those parks, and that was the idea. But also it was also to educate people. I think education is a big part of it, but education with a consciousness. It's not just cramming information, and how I can be part of that environment and how I can influence and volunteer actually. I feel like we have lots of great groups in Luton who are volunteering to keep those parks. I don't think we will have enough money to look after those, but if we can get people to get more and more volunteering, just it's only good for their health, like good for volunteering, meeting with people, and we are tackling what is called isolation. At the same time, you learn a skill, and it's only good. I mean, I personally don't believe in going to gyms. I believe doing your own garden. I think there's much more you can work in a way. I won't say I'm a personal trainer, but you can get a lot of muscle involved in attending your garden and working like with people and learning, and learning about the land. I think the more you get people engaged and learning about nature and the land, the more respect it is to the land, the more you appreciate the food that you're having, the more you appreciate the birds who are doing all this ecology and ecosystem working together. You feel like, hey, I am with these people. It's like in South Africa with this whole concept of Ubuntu, which is I am and we are. And I think the I am and we are is not just this about I am and we are with nature. And I think that's really, really important. And I feel like people need, and I think the future of medicine will be about this. We know, for example, if where there's less park, there's more, the life expectancy goes down, and that's one of the reasons in one of those areas recently with the Peace Garden we planted 150 trees in Cholne area, because we know that the pollution and the trees, like the job that they do and how that can impact on people's health. There's only great benefit in terms of engaging with the land, I feel. When you are with people, it's like, it's fun. The time become also sometimes, I mean, obviously when there's a time to be alone and do your own thing, but there's a time to be with people as well. I think both are important and both works. And sometimes if you feel like being with other people, you can learn some tools and some techniques and things like pearls that they've been having for ages, like their experience that you can benefit from. So yeah, I think it's good to be among people, but I think there's a time to have your own space, and it's a meditative process as well. Being in nature is meditation. It's like being mindful in the moment and contemplating with those plants and flowers and trees and bugs and all sorts. Yeah, so I think it's not a question of one versus the other, but I think people needs to come together. There's a heart-to-heart connection is so important. That heart-to-heart engagement, that heart space of coming together, because we know that scientifically from the work of heart math in what they're doing, we know that the heart is sending signals all over the place, and when people are coming together in a state we call coherence, or we call community cohesion here, so it elevates people, and it helps even with the brain. So these are all very important piece of work. In Luton, I would say for me, Warden Hill is probably the closest to me. That's where I would go, and just, if you're not going towards the A6 I forgot the name now, but yeah, that sort of area, there's quite a lot of, I think I would say even Warden Hill is somehow breathtaking to a certain extent. I would say it's quite beautiful there. So I would say definitely Warden Hill. I like the what is it called? The kites. And I will attribute that to, I remember walking with, I forgot his name now, he passed away recently. He was a photographer. When we were doing these projects, he would show me the kites and he would say to me like, oh, these were introduced from Spain to England because we've lost quite a lot and now they are doing really well. And you can see like those, when we're doing some bird watching, you could see like those beautiful kites. And for me, seeing those kites, this majestic bird coming. And last time I saw one of them coming towards my garden and like a bird of prey and trying to attack another bird. And it was quite fascinating to see that. So yeah, but I just love birds as well. The bees, I think I love them. And when I see them, the way the bumblebees in the garden and buzzing around and trying to, and it reminds you of life. I always say that there's many things that we don't like in life, but I always say that, or what I've learned from one of my teachers, like be like the bees and go from flowers to flowers and just pick the best of pollen to create a nectar for humanity. And thus you just leave the rest. Whatever you don't like, just leave it and move on. But pick whatever you can. And that's how I see life is moving forward, is to do it this way, like just be like a bee and move from flowers to flowers, from gardens to gardens. And as we were doing that, I just saw a robin, and I'm always fascinated by robin, how they're fighting with each other. I think for me, the hills, people, I mean, obviously you want people to go there, but one thing we always say that when you go, leave on your footprints. And I think it's really important because you don't want to pollute the land, you don't want to bring things. And I think this is all about a lot of education that needs to happen about pollution, especially pollution in our town, about litter, etc. But I think people need to use it, and the more people use it, the better it is. All you need is to have the right gear. I know sometimes it's not easy because the weather is not great, but sometimes we need to, and I have to remind myself like for that, because sometimes you want to be on that nice sofa and cozy, but the sofa become really nice and cozy and warm, and you enjoy that cup of tea or coffee is when you've been outside and you work, and it's a bit of a workout, and you come home and you enjoy that moment. That becomes really special. There's no money in the world that can take that away from you. So I think, yeah, that's really important. So I think, yeah, people need to, I don't think the word is need to. I think it's something that nature is inviting us, and we need to listen to that vibration. Sometimes we need to listen to our body's whisper, and also we need to do the whisper of nature. And nature is always calling. And you say, knock, knock. And then, who's there? And say, it's me, nature. Oh, there you are. Oh, it could be the other way around. Knock, knock, who's there? It's me, Ryad. Oh, welcome. I've been waiting for you for a long time. So it's really important to engage. And I think people, it's important for their health. It's free. It doesn't cost anything. Maybe you might need to have the right gear, the right shoes. But it's cool. Get a pair of good shoes. And enjoy nature. And you will find that your body will start living. Every single cell in your body will dance at the sound of nature, and that's what's going to happen once you connect with that nature. I think there's a beauty about Dallow which people are unaware of. First, it's history, where you can relate that to the Cretacean period, and then moving towards the Ice Age. But if I move fast forward, you leave the Roman history, you leave the Victorian time, modern Britain, and you go towards the 20th century. That's where you would see that those people who came to Luton and live in the Dallow area, which is connected to the Chalk Hill, they were from Scotland, and they came to work for the gas stove company. And then following that, you had people from the African Caribbean who came and worked for the NHS. You had the Irish community who came to work for the M1 and also for Vauxhall. Sadly, Vauxhall is closing down, but at least part of it. So people came, and then you had the people from the Kashmiri community from Mirpur, and they left their country where they were displaced from the Mangla Dam, and then coming over to Luton to work for Vauxhall and to work in the sandwich companies and all the food companies. So we had an evolution. Then came in around 2004, you had the Polish community migrating to Luton. You have even further migration. So there's always been a migration in Luton, and people looking for better their lives, and they've contributed quite a lot. And that's what made the richness and the diversity and the beauty that we have in terms of its people. And I think if we value that, it's a beauty that can mirror nature, because nature is about diversity. We know where there's monocrop, things doesn't work out, yeah? And that's how diversity is. So the more diverse people is, the more creativity, and we know creativity is so important in any industry. If you lose creativity, you have nothing. You don't have a business that will grow. And all of that, if we understand that everything is so interconnected, that migration is so important. Birds migrate, nature migrates. So with this whole debate that is going on today, I think we should look at the positive, and of course make it work in a way that everybody feel comfortable around it. And I think that's one of the beauty of Dallow and its connection with its diversity and the chalk hills and the story it has to tell to the locals, and to love it. And also one of the beauty when we talk about diversity of the chalk hills, we look at the landscape. We have the terraced land of that area, which is quite unique to Britain, which we lost quite of the terraced land. So we call it lynches. And at the same time, we have, I think, the great spotted orchid, which is there, which is rare to this area. There's so much that all we need is to start valuing who we are first as an individual, valuing each other, and then valuing us as a community, and growing in that kindness. Valentine today, so growing in that heartfelt connection with each other, and see the other as that human being that we would want to engage with, and we want everybody to thrive in Luton alongside the chalk hills, which has so much of history to tell us.